Bole Baba Ki Jai. Here we are once again, Haidakhandi Universal. And today we're grateful to have Raghuvir here, who just flew in from Thailand for the Navaratri festival, which he comes to each year, or twice a year often. And grateful that he's here with us for a few moments so we can talk to him about what's going on in his life. Also, he's just published a new book, or his old book republished with some special parts in it, and I'm excited about that too. So, how are you doing, Raghuvir?
Good. Well, it's always wonderful to be here, but generally in life I would say I'm doing pretty good. Feeling very blessed.
And why do you come every year to Haidakhandi?
Why?
Yeah, or twice a year, or 3 times a year.
No, it is actually at the moment only once a year is left, because I come for the Navaratris. I used to come also for the Christmases, but I don't do that anymore. And the other Navaratri, the autumn Navaratri, because many people, because of age and because it's so expensive for many people, we have started to organize them also in Holland. And so I'm creating that together with Pujari and Martin Baba to have an alternative. So it's only once a year, but I'm coming for 6 weeks this time.
Nice. And why do you come?
Why I come? Well, in one way I'm here always. I mean, I lived here these years with Babaji, and Haidakhandi is part of me somehow. In the beginning I was missing it terribly when I was in the 80s or in the 90s when I was away. But I don't even miss it anymore. I'm just, it's wonderful, just as it is. I think physically it would be hard for me to do the winter now. Even the bath, the doctor was telling me don't jump in the river and things like that, what I would really like to do. But the last two Navaratris I was not so well. I was spending most of it in my room, and I don't want to do that anymore. So we'll see how it goes, but feeling wonderful being here.
This thing called our body does age.
Yeah.
And it takes a toll. I'm noticing that this year myself a little bit.
It's okay. I mean, getting older is, I see so many beautiful sides of it too. I have no problem in getting older. Of course, some things are not working so well anymore as they used to, but there is so much more balance and maturity. You look at things and in a peace that,
a large sense of everything, like you said. Baba Haidakhandi is in our hearts.
Yeah.
Doesn't change.
Yeah, in the beginning, Babaji was that extremely interesting person in the ashram. I mean, but then slowly you find out that he is everywhere, and he's of course, in those years I was discovering already that he was living in our hearts, but it expanded more and more and became part of everything. And such a joy to discover that, and nothing really matters anymore.
And I do say from my side, it's been a year since I've been here, because mostly I come every year also. I come not at Navaratri, I come because we have a big Navaratris at our ashram in Custom. But this time I very much noticed that I learn more things, many things when I come here, and remember many things. It is helpful for me to come here, even though I live in an ashram and Baba's with us all the time, and I feel that presence. Here it is very strong and very, very deep. It's been a really lovely visit. I'm leaving today, or coming today.
Yeah, being here, when I'm in Holland, I also stay in the ashram most of the time. But even staying at home, I must say that I'm doing some hours of practice of one sort or the other, and I even thinking to increase that once I have my place ready to it is being with him. I mean, you can do that in many ways, of course, but all these years is actually refinement and of doing it better, doing it cleaner, and getting more out of the way of that personality we get along. And,
I'm so grateful for the practices.
sorry?
I'm so grateful
Yeah.
for all of the practices. When I sit in front of the Haidakhandi each morning, I'm right there and seeing Baba and seeing all the cosmos and all of the deities. And it's a special thing that Babaji has given to us. And the japa, the arti, and the pujas. So tell us about your new book. Your new old book.
It's the same book, but it came out 6 years ago, a little bit in a hurry, and it wasn't properly edited. And reading into it and getting feedback through all these years, actually pretty good feedback, I took out one or two stories which didn't really have too much juice or teachings in it, and I added something else, and it's probably edited now, and some new stories, particularly about the Mahavatar Babaji. And one story, which for me is the most beautiful story of which I've heard through all these years of Babaji, is a story from Ramlota, because it goes over 50 years. It goes over from well before Babaji was in this body, and how it plays, how many these ingredients there are, and it all seems by chance that Baba himself was not really doing it from now on. It was like Babaji himself was just happening through him also. It's such an amazing story that
You can't leave us in suspense. Come on, tell us the basics of it.
No, I'm afraid you have to buy the book.
Well, you receive it. You can get it at the ashram.
Ramlota wrote it himself. Just incorporated it. He wrote it himself. No, it's just I can't even tell you because it has so many different elements in it.
Serendipitous thing.
And it plays over a period of time. Ramlota, but also some things he saw by chance. It seemed by chance, and other things that when another element of that story, he was having a bath somewhere, and Babaji called him to have a bath with him, but he never called Ramlota to have a bath with him. I was having a bath with Babaji every day, but he never called. But on that moment, he called Ramlota, and Ramlota was there, and it didn't seem to have any function. But Ramlota was the witness of that story, which played over so many years. And I mean, it is like, it would be difficult even for a movie director to make such a story. It is incredible.
Yeah. I think he also told that story on one of my interviews I did with him, but it was a very windy day, and just Nino that he was telling that story, but I agree with you. One of my also favorite stories. These stories help me really come to a small understanding of who Babaji is. Because his vastness, and I can't even fathom it. I can't, my human emotions and everything, I can't put words to his divine hugeness.
It is from beyond the mind, so how can we put it into
words? Yeah. So these kind of stories are so, well, the minute I get the book, when I get home, I think it will be arriving at our ashram. Thank you for sending many books to the ashram. I'm going to read it. What page is it on?
It is after part 1, the autobiography, and part that I talk about Babaji, and 1, I think it's towards the end of that first chapter in part 2.
Okay, I'll be reading it.
Yeah, for the rest it's largely the same. It's already 1.5 year that I was going to that it is ready, but with my dear friend, our dear friend Sanjeev Sana, many things which is leaving, many things have been complicated, and this was one of the things. But now it is done.
Yeah, it brings to mind mortality.
Yeah,
You know, we already talked about getting a little older, and we've seen many of our friends go on to their afterlife.
Well, we've seen so many through the years already go, but I was particularly, it was so unexpected. I mean,
Yeah.
he's 58 years old, and I was
Healthy.
having contact with him the day before, and yeah.
He
Yeah,
had
he's-
a
he's-
heart attack, basically.
Yeah, and he's such an important player in this Babaji Leela also.
Yeah. Also a good example of how everybody, whether you're, like you said, a very important player,
No, but of course. But in one way, his dedication was so enormous, and his input, and he never came, about Babaji, but not even Muniraji also. He came after all that, actually. He was just, when Muniraji was, towards the end of Muniraji, he was coming. But, I mean, actually, he didn't have even a story with Muniraji. So this shows also how Babaji is still alive and how he inspires people. If you're willing to give yourself, then
I guess, yeah, if the time is right also for you in your life.
yeah, of course, we
But
all have our
also-
individual karmas and stuff.
So it's Sanjeev, the name of the gentleman we're speaking of. He was the general secretary of the Samaj for many years, and like you said, he did so much. And also now things are filling back in. Baba does take care of his family. It is true that I guess it behooves me always to remember that, because the last time I saw him was in Delhi, and we wouldn't know that it was going to be the last time. But with so many
Going to do something very interesting next week. That book about from age to age.
Yes.
Babaji took Jal Samadhi. He went in Samadhi in the water in 1922. I'm going there.
Ah, nice. And where is that? It's the confluence of the Kali and Gori River. Right?
You remember
I
that
read
well?
that.
Yeah.
I edited the book,
It's
so
clo-
I know it's a
It's,
lot.
clo-
Where
it's
is
close to the Nepali border.
Okay. Will you be driving part way? And
Most of it.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the story in From Age to Age. Oh, you have so many books to order to the ashram. Where Babaji, when he left his body, was at the confluence of the Kali and Gori River, and you called it Jal Samadhi.
You can go into the earth in Samadhi, or you can just leave, and you can go. He went into the water and disappeared.
Right. Which is a fascinating story.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't. The most amazing is actually that putting some things together is that Babaji himself said in 1970 in the court that he is from 1840. In Vijay Gupta's book.
Yes.
And so he left his body there when he was 82, but he didn't leave his body. And that's what I have to come to terms with now, because I've been listening to most of the stories how Babaji appeared in the cave, but I think he took on his mission of telling the world about the Kranti and these things, and inspiring all of us, and calling the world here. That happened in from 1970 till 1984. But he was, how old was he?
32?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're saying that even though he had gel samadhi and went into the river in front of the confluence, it was in front of devotees' eyes. There were a few devotees.
The king was
Congress
there,
from
yeah.
But that he didn't leave his body.
No. But also, Nantin Maharaj was a great saint here in these areas, a recognized saint by everybody. And he was asked about him, and he said about Babaji, he's a very old man. I said, no, you are an old man. he's a young man. He said, no, I'm but a child next to him. And so, not that this is recorded, but to other people, he said that Babaji rejuvenated his body with Ayurveda and sadhana. Babaji himself said in the court that it is a yogic practice. But there was probably some kaya kalpa, some advanced Ayurvedic practices.
And does Babaji even need those practices?
Well, I've been listening to these things from Babaji can do this, Babaji can do that, and I'm convinced. But I know also that he follows natural laws. And that's why if you wanted something from him, he knows everything you think, but he wanted you to say it. And that is so in so many things, that it all has to follow also a certain, because he can walk on water, but to make it real, he followed physical laws.
And to help us, because we're not capable of all these special things, or at least this point in our years.
In these last 14 years that he was here, before when he was Munindra Maharaj, he did many incredible miracles. But in these 14 years, these things didn't happen. Except for one or two small little things, but these things didn't happen. So while he could do that, and he spoke about Sai Baba, the great saint. Yeah, he's a magician because this is India.
This is the sounds of the ashram, people washing up the buckets and the dishes. That's true. It seemed also like from time to time he would send people away, and then they'd have the miraculous healing or something like that.
Yeah.
He would say, you go here, as if it was the temple that he sent them to, or the situation that healed them, and really was all
And the food we didn't finish, another one once.
Huh?
The food which they didn't finish when they were distributing it, because in the last moment a whole bus of people arrived. And Baba said, no, it's enough. And the people didn't understand how the bucket never emptied.
All these, it's just like the story with...
But nobody knew, even the people who were there, they didn't understand how it was possible. But there was no...
Till later that they realized the story about the tea also, pouring the tea for 25, 30 people in one little teapot.
Yeah, but there was no big scene about it. It was no scene at all about it. It just happened.
Like the story of Krishna and giving this, what it was, a sacred bowl or something, so that there was always enough food for.
Yeah. Or Jesus with the bread and the fish.
Exactly. And these stories are very important. And that's why I do these videos. And
it's why for many people these saints who materialize things, that is from wow, because it is breaking out of our limits. I mean, I remember when I would just arrive here, I was very skeptical to Babaji. I didn't trust him at all. And there was one man here who was a solid man, Big John his name was, and he was painting from morning till evening in the ashram, and I liked him. I could understand his thinking, and it was... So we were talking, and he said, somehow we were talking about this flying yoga from the transcendental meditation.
Oh, right.
And I always thought it was nonsense, and but I'd never seen it. And then he told me, yeah, I know that. I did it also. I said, come on, because he was a real person. He wouldn't tell any stories. So I said, can you show that to me? He said, oh yeah, one day I can show that. I can try. I didn't do it for some years now, but I can try. And the next day we were in the river. I thought about it all the time. The next day we were in the riverbed. I said, can you do it? He said, yeah, I can try. And he just sat down on somewhere. And I was looking at him, still didn't believe it for a second. And all of a sudden he flew up. And I could see he didn't do something together. I didn't do any muscle work. He just got a jolt of energy running through his spine. And my eyes, what my eyes saw, my mind couldn't accept on that moment. That was such an interesting moment of that has, for all these years now, 45 years, that is still, yeah, that was a moment of where the world cracks up.
Exactly. You start questioning, like, oh, did I have it so together? I thought I knew it all.
The world cracks up and the light shines in.
Yeah. Baba was master of that too.
Yeah.
He was excellent at cracking our minds. And like you said, subtle. I mean, the story of, Shami Kapoor and having the, diabetes and him having him eat that kilo of sweets. And, it's a great faith. We see in a different devotee. I don't know if I would have that kind of faith, but...
I wonder if they can hear your voice. I can't.
Okay, I'll speak louder. Anyways, but I was saying that's why I do these videos. And I, get everybody's stories I can. Because it's, when we read those stories, I meet people from around the world, even right here. Lithuania, Scotland, Germany, Austria. Oh yeah, we watch and we listen to these stories. And it helps us realize
that is with that book also, because I didn't feel like writing a book. I'm not a writer, but I was telling these stories for years about Babaji, and then when the internet came, I thought, well, I'll make it easy, and I wrote down some of these stories and I sent them to a few people, and then some started to push me to make that book, and I went twice for a week somewhere and put these things together. But the feedback I'm still getting from people I've never seen or heard is really nice. That book is inspiring people into their own relationship with Babaji, and that is really,
It opens up a window that says, oh, this guy, he looks just like a human guy. He did it. Maybe I could also have some of this close experience with Babaji and trust and love. It's very
because
important.
in those years, there were most people who came, they were 100% devotee in a few hours or after a day. But that took me a while while I was here. So for many people who are more skeptic or rebellistic or whatever, they can maybe relate.
I love the story about you. I don't want to spoil it, but you coming and thinking, oh, this is lovely, and putting the suntan lotion on you and laying by the river to get your tan.
That was the first days, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why these guys are all working. I'm going to enjoy the...
No, not quite like that. But I remember still that I was lying with that book in the suntan lotion, reading in the river, and Babaji came by, and I didn't even know very well what to do, but I didn't feel like, so I just...
And what did Babaji do?
Nothing.
Yeah, he
Nothing.
was dead.
Someone told me once that that he was also looking at me once, but that was from the back. He was looking at me for a while. Babaji sees everything pretty quickly, but he was somehow really looking at me for a while. I don't know who. Maybe Loknath told me that or something.
Who is this guy?
Who?
No, that's why Baba was looking at you.
Well, I think he knows where he was. I don't know, but that, you know, because it took me. I was with all my refusal and being skeptic and all these things. It took quite some time, but I'm convinced that I've been with Babaji for I don't know how much time. And it's the only thing what I'm asking for. Also, I don't ask for liberation or for this and that. If you're coming and I can be around you or serve, I'll come anytime. I'll be the dog or I'll be whatever. Let me be around.
You really had such special, such special experiences. Those moments where he took you out into the forest, just the two of you, and he was just looking at you. I can't quite remember. You're sitting in silence, and it was, I believe, it was challenging for you after a while.
No, I couldn't just be on that moment, but it was so wonderful. He walked away. There was people sitting there and people there, and he took me into the dark, into the woods, and all of a sudden he said, "Sit down." So he pulled me down. So he was sitting there, and I was always doing things for him or with him. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I'm just looking at him. What are we doing?
what should I do?
And I thought I'm getting these special teachings, but he didn't say anything. He was just looking at me and not also like this, but he was just looking at me with so much love. And I was inside a little bit from, what now? Are you going to tell me something, or should I hear something, or like in that way? But it took minutes, which is very long with Babaji, and. Yeah, for a long time I was wondering, did I miss it? It's a pity that I was so busy and all these kind of things. But I guess it was totally beautiful as it is, and maybe he operated me, or maybe whatever, he planted the seed. But I'm still here. So I don't know.
But really, and I can imagine, it's like, what should I do? How can I serve you, Babaji? Or something like, sit.
Just be. Now that just being, that came up much after he left. The more the Advaita and the letting things sink in and being in the moment. That came later.
And much more a karma yogi.
Yeah, well.
Than much.
Samadhi.
This happened just a few days before Samadhi?
No,
he took you away. Oh,
just a few days before the Samadhi, there was these morning darshans next to his room there, and one day he told everybody to go for his work for the Karma Yoga, and I got the things the prasad and the toffees ready to go, and he said, no, you sit. And okay, I sit, and then he had some kind of an office chair. He put that a little bit back, and he got Gurudev to bring a blanket, and Babaji was like, the sun was just coming over the hill, and he was just sitting there, and I was just sitting on that wall, and he said, you sit, and meditate. Maybe he said meditate, and I just said that, but I wasn't much of a meditator. I mean, I did some japa, but to sit there, it was a waste of time. So I just sat there, but time went by, and after half an hour, I was really thinking I thought, well, this stuff, I better bring this stuff at least where it's supposed to go. And I just did that, and in 3 minutes I ran around, did these things, and I came back, and Babaji was all the same. So I sat there again, and then Babaji, didn't wake up, but then he got Gurudev to bring a mattress right there in front of the bathroom, and he lied down there on a little blanket, and that was the beginning of him not coming back into, and he told me to sit there. And I just sat there. At a certain point I ran away again because I had to do something, but a few minutes and came back. And he came out for half an hour one day, and for the rest he never came out again. And he invited me to sit there, but I was just not much of a sitter. I was thinking all the time, what can I do? And then I would do a little bit of japa while I was sitting there, but I was more busy from... I didn't feel at all that he was going to go, or that he was... in that way I was not connected at all.
Hard to believe.
He looked my age. I mean, I never thought for a second. He'd been sometimes a little bit not well, but even in those last days when he was there, he would be sitting on the bed. You could see that he was like not well, and then all of a sudden somebody would come in and he would say, "Oh, have you eaten? And did you check out this?" And he would all of a sudden be present, like there was completely nothing. So it was very difficult to judge that. He was not so much like me.
And even though, Vijay Gupta's book, particularly, and a few other people said, he did say a few times, I would be here 14 years, or like
He said
when they went Sri Devi, and the yogi that was there said, if you live someplace like this for 14 years, you'll reach enlightenment.
that was 1900.
Oh, that was something. And I think Vijay Gupta asked Babaji, is this true? And Babaji said, and I'll be here also just 14 years, or something like that.
He said it to Gora also in the beginning when he said, "You'll be with me for 12 years." But she never thought he was going to go. She thought she was she was going somewhere. But
so nobody put that together with the
and
fact
you don't
that,
think about that 12 years later. I mean, there are some people who say, but I don't believe that. But I think it was more giving some value to their own stories. I don't think people knew
that he was living. The total surprise.
David, Gora Devi was in pieces and had no idea. Shastriji left 2 weeks before or something from the last tour we made in Lucknow and Allahabad. He went back to his home, and Babaji spoke 2 phrases of a poem to him and said, "Now the leaf has broken off the tree. The wind will carry it away. Who knows where it will land?" Shastriji, wow, Maharaj, beautiful, but he
didn't get that.
he didn't get the meaning, and it's Shastriji. So but he was crying when he came back up, and that he said, and he repeated this, what Babaji told him. And he had no idea, and Shastriji knew pretty good what was going on, also behind the curtain. So, yeah. Miraji also was in pieces, had no idea. But it was necessary for our attachments.
I always felt that for sure.
It is certainly the real spiritual growing has all happened afterwards and in the basis of that. It would have been only focused on him being around, which is, of course, perfect as it is. It would have, I would sign for that kind of life immediately. But
perfectly blissful most of the time, and hard, but blissful. And I also think about my time, just like you were saying, sitting in the forest there, but not capable of really experiencing.
we were pretty young also, eh? I mean,
Yeah. But mostly, I was more involved with the then have your sari on rights, and
Yeah.
does Baba like me? Does he like me more than compare? I mean, I hear other people's stories, and I think, oh my gosh, they were really getting it. But many things it's taken me 20, 30 years to even grasp what Babaji was trying to teach me. But still, we got the blessings. A deep blessing.
I still do.
Yeah.
Still do. I don't know why we are not didn't do. Now I don't worry about that. But for some time I was wondering, when is it going to happen? When we're going to get this or that and be interesting for serving him in a bigger way and all that. None of us that seemed to happen so much. But
How do you mean that?
now that we are a bunch of saints who are teaching,
Oh, I see.
teaching Babaji's, like Muni Raji,
I see.
but then why aren't we a dozen of Muni Rajis? So to say, yeah. I don't know. I think we have the blessing of for lifetime and lifetime. I mean, I've already asked for if this is going to happen again, if I can be there. There's some story in this big book, which is now finally being the first part came out in German actually. There's a story where Shiva sits on Kailash and he says at a certain point, he's to Parvati, I believe, in the Ganas, he says, I'm going to Earth and I'm going to organize this. And all the Ganas are saying, yeah. He said, no, you guys are not coming. He said, but you can't go without us. Yes, we are coming. He said, no, you guys are not coming. He said, I'm going alone. He said, well, if then they of course insisted and said, well, you can come then. Some of you can come. I don't know exactly how it is written there, but you won't know anything. How many incredible people we've not seen here in these last 50 years who were running around Babaji, also from India. He was dressing us up in the most weird way and like a theater. Yeah.
And we don't remember.
Huh? No, we don't remember all these things. Things sometimes happen that I cannot explain. Also with the stories that I write sometimes, that I read them later myself, that I'm getting inspired by my own stories, but I didn't have the feeling that I wrote them. I don't have that kind of knowledge actually. I don't, it is sometimes just happening in one or the other way. Can't explain that, but I feel them still very, very close. But it's not that I hear a voice talking or that he's appearing to. I had maybe 7 dreams in 40 years.
I'm the same way. It's like, please, I'm here in your home. Can I have one dream, please? No.
No, but we are. I feel him so close by that he like, and that's also one of my prayers is look through my eyes. That speak in my ears, so everything I hear is filtered through you, and what I see is because you were this wonderful person, but he was a lot more than that. And that's the story. That story of Ramlota is showing that this person, the physics of what we saw, it is the very small part of this immense, timeless and spaceless formless Babaji.
Just the story of him agreeing to come to Earth. I mean, also that's a little bit of that is written by Hendra Maharaj's book about how Parvati said, my understanding is that Parvati said, look at the earth. They need some help. It's time for you to go down. And then, like you said, all the Ganas, everybody wanted to go in. I didn't get that part, and I'm happy to hear that. But, okay, you can come, but you're not going to remember who you are. And Baba said that. He said, all you monkeys and bears, you know, you just run around.
Wagging your tail.
Exactly. You don't know who you are.
Yeah, and even that, I don't know what it means. Yeah.
I don't either.
In
We might be
terms
really
of
jerks.
consciousness, and I don't know.
Maybe it's a good thing we don't know who we really are. Because, anyways, yeah. A lot of times I do feel like a hopeless thing. I wrote about that in my last newsletter, just this thing, you know, Lord, you made me your own that day. Now where have I gone astray? Please make it in Usadina Tunat in the Teni Shedanam Menoya. That verse is one of my favorites. And I wrote about how often I go astray. Where have I gone astray? Daily.
Daily, we do it all the time, but it's just the mind. This is the superficial mind which we give so much importance to, doing this, doing that, and actually underneath we are also more of that other one, and that is much more important, and we give all this importance there. But I wonder the part which you just said, I think you will have to put subtitles because I can hardly hear what you're saying. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You can't hear me either? Huh. I guess I'm speaking quietly today. Anyway, so. Anything else that you would like to tell us? In your world of wisdom?
I don't have any. Sometimes it comes, but I'm surprised about it myself.
No, and once again, the beauty of satsang. And Babaji also said that, you know, every day you should be giving satsang to the devotees. I think he said that Raghuvir, you know, in the Duni, 1-2 hours before breakfast was a good time, or something like that. Because it is important. It helps us all remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen also the power of this with new people, and one gets it and another one doesn't. It's so amazing also that some are, they have, I don't know, it stirs some, because in the end Babaji is not that person, but it's something that every human being has in his own heart, and if that gets stirred, then it's something which your mind can't conceive what it actually is, what happens, but that blooms and that stirs, and then everything becomes a little bit different.
And it's so beautiful to watch. All of a sudden, you know, they're just there, you know, wanting to serve and to do help so much, and just want to be with Babaji. That's a very beautiful transformation. Thank you for being here with us.
Welcome. You're leaving today?
Yes.
Wow.
Already back to America for getting ready for our Navratri. It's only 2 weeks away.
Well, I'm happy that we had the moment.
Exactly. I'm glad you came early this time, because we're often like ships passing in the night. Good to see you. I love you. Baba Ki
Jai.
Jai.